A number of years ago, I taught seventh grade Sunday school here. The children that I taught are now in their 40s. That was a while ago. But the lesson progressed this way. First of all, there was an eyewitness program where someone from the congregation would come up and share with them what the Lord had done for them. And the second part of it was we would turn to the Bible and a student would pick out a passage and we would then take that passage and relate to their lives. Well, tonight we're going to have a repetition of my seventh grade Sunday school. I will be the eyewitness program, and the passages that Pastor Jim just read are the relationships that you will see as we go through the testimony of what happened to me 20 years ago. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at the prayer and healing service, and thank you for the prayers many of you offered for Sherry and me more than 20 years ago. And thank you to the Lord for loving all of us enough to be present in the service today. Over the past 20 years, I have experienced 2 strokes, a heart attack, 3 cancer operations, and a year-long battle with a cranky gallbladder, all supported by the love of the Lord. This evening, I would like to share with you how that love helped Sherry and I to grow while I spent 117 days learning how to walk, talk, chew, swallow, and breathe all over again. On December 18, 2005, at approximately 10:15 p.m., I suffered a subarachnoid hemorrhage. My brain began to bleed between the inside of my skull and the dura mater covering the brain itself. I experienced the worst headache of my life, threw up, and passed out. Sherry called 911. Medics were there in less than 5 minutes and found me unresponsive and not breathing. I was to spend the next 69 days in a hospital, followed by 48 more in a rehabilitation center, learning how to do everything all over again. During these 117 days, members of faith were praying for me. Later on, we learned on the Hunt and subarachnoid grading system that I experienced, a level 4 on a 5-point grading scale, with 5 being comatose. The mortality rate for a level 4 is 80%. Your prayers and the work of the Lord allowed me to speak to you here today. At this point, I would like to share with you the recovery and healing process I recall and the Lord's intervention into bringing me here today. One of the most difficult things I had is this issue with clearing my throat, and that was prevalent throughout my stay in the hospitals. The date was February 5th, 2006. This date was 49 days or 7 weeks past December 18th, 2005. I was in a bed with folks in the room around me. The TV was the opening kickoff of Super Bowl 40. The kick returner from the Seahawks was tackled by Clint Krewald of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The name stuck in my mind because Clint graduated from Shakopee High School, where I was superintendent, and from UW-Stevens Point, where I did my undergraduate studies. Clint is currently sheriff of Outagamie County. But then I thought, why are all these people in my bedroom? And why am I watching the Super Bowl in my bedroom? I tried to speak, but I could not talk. What was going on, I thought. It took some time to become aware of what had happened to me. The only way I could communicate was through spelling out questions on an alphabet letterboard. I learned that I had suffered a stroke 7 weeks ago, of which I have no memory at all. I do not recall spending 17 days in an intensive care unit, nor pulling out an external shunt attached to the outside of my skull. nor having an internal shunt placed inside my skull to prevent me from getting hydrocephalus or a big head, which Sherry says it does not work all the time. Nor having an internal tubing running from the shunt down to the inside of my neck and further down into my stomach to drain excess spinal fluid. Nor a feeding tube attached to my tummy because I could not swallow. Nor the several CT scans of my brain to find out where the aneurysm occurred. And the tests were all negative. None of this do I recall. If I had been aware of this, I would have been worried sick, and I already was. So once I became aware of what happened, I took a sort of self-inventory of my condition. I was in a hospital bed, and I could not talk, I could not walk, I could not speak, I could not chew or swallow, and I needed a tracheostomy in my throat in order to breathe properly. Then came the questions. I have been this way for more than 7 weeks. Is this it? What does the future hold? Will it be this way forever? As soon as these silent questions were over, an answer popped into my head. The answer allowed me to forget about what happened and not worry about the future, but to make the most of each day, no matter what it may bring. Before I share the answer I heard, let me tell you a bit about the 117 days of recovery. Open my mouth. The subarachnoid hemorrhage resulted in nerve damage to my facial muscles. I was unable to smile or even open my mouth. The speech therapist working with me took a suggestion from a doctor. She began to force tongue depressors between my lips, between my upper and lower jaw. She started with 2 and slowly worked over time up to 26 tongue depressors. Once that level was reached, I was able to open and close my jaw. This is 26 tongue depressors. It's amazing what you save over time. I don't think anybody will want 26 tongue depressors, but they have meaning for me. Speak again. I had not said a word for 3 months. The tracheostomy in my throat and nerve damage to my speech center had prevented me from speaking. Now, with extensive speech therapy and a new trach with a button to block the airflow, the speech clinician, Kristen, tells me I can talk. Go ahead, Dave, what do you want to say? To my embarrassment, I can think of nothing. That's unusual. It's only Kristen, my wife Sherry, and me. You would think that after 4 months of signing thumb up or thumb down, I would be bursting with things to say. But there is nothing. I soon realized that I must say something, and what is interfering is the enormity of the task. Not having said boo for 16 weeks, whatever I say now, better carry some great weight with it. So I ask Kristen to leave. I tell Sherry how much she means to me. I tell her how I never would have made it without her support. I tell her I am sorry she had to sleep alone all those nights. I tell her that I'm in love with her now more than ever. I tell her I'm a changed person. I'm a person who has changed with time. The 4 months of utter dependence on others has made a new person out of me. I have become much more gracious, if you will, much more thankful for the professional and personal attention others offer me. And I am none more thankful than my spouse of 35 and now 55 years. Just cough. Can you suction me? And the way I would say that was by pointing to my trach. Has become my constant plea. Suctioning is a gut-wrenching experience where a plastic tube is inserted into your tracheostomy in order to clean out excess mucus and phlegm, which forms regularly. The tube can go down into the lungs and can cause violent coughing and gagging. The procedure should be used sparingly, as the air passage linings can be irritated to the point of bleeding. At night, the ability to breathe and sleep is greatly affected by the condition of my trach. I spend some nights sleeping seated in a chair hunched over 3 pillows because it is the only way that I can breathe comfortably. After suctioning, I can breathe pure, sweet air, and I request a procedure every 6 to 8 hours. That is too frequent for the nursing staff. Just cough hard and that will clear the trach. I hear that time and time again. The problem is I am unable to cough. For whatever reason, no cough will come forward when I attempt it. I spend some nights trying to remember how to cough. The answer. Well, so much for examples of what happened during the time you were praying for me. Let's get back to the answer I heard internally after realizing all the things I could not do. It is an answer that brought me here today. It is an answer that applies to all of us. For the background on this answer is found in more than 300 places in the Bible. But let's use Matthew 6 as an example. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is life not more than food, and the body than clothes? Further back, it can be found in James 1, which Pastor Jim just read. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. The answer I heard back in February of 2006 was, you are loved. Just as all of us here today are loved. From where did the answer come? Just remember that you are loved by the Lord, who made us all and commanded us to love him in return and share that love with all those around us. That is the most important factor in life, no matter what your condition is. You are loved, and share that love with others. Thank you very much.